Bom menina, maduring ko Deus bang sa seminário com o tema Cyber Security. Tema assim importante, que na nossa opinião merece de mais atenção e motivo de como nós é importante para bini com esse seminário para dar mais conhecimento riba e terreno aqui. Bom menina, na minha colega Suzy Panoflek, que recentemente também forma parte de nossa gerência. Danke na minha colega na Mcb, experto na riba terreno de Cyber Security, que está junto conosco também KPCN, Cyber Crime Unit, nosso partner do projeto aqui. Petição, se por percorrer para o celular na riba mute, a apresentação está em inglês, mas sentimos também livre para dar um comentário ou fazer pergunta a papiamento holandês ou inglês. So again, welcome to Maduring Korea's Bank Cyber Security Seminar. A very important subject that needs more attention. Also reason why we found it important to come with this seminar to help create awareness. Welcome to my colleague Suzy Panoflek, who since January is part of our management team. Thank you to my MCB colleagues, experts on this subject, who are here with us today. Also KPCN, Cyber Crime Unit, our partner with this project. Special request, if the cellular phones can be placed on mute. The presentation will be in English, but feel free to provide any comments, questions in Papiamento, Dutch, or English. When you leave today, we hope it will be with an extra awareness, which will help you with your business strategy covering this specific subject. And with this, I would like to introduce our first speaker of the day, my colleague, Douglas Bencomo.
Thank you, Leonard. Thank you very much for being here. I'm very happy to see this number of people with us today. So let's fire it away. My name is Douglas Bencomo. I'm Chief Information Security Officer at MCB Group. I have over 20 years of experience helping financial institutions to fight cybersecurity incidents, helping those organizations to get better in cybersecurity projects. And I hold several cybersecurity accreditations in the field. This is just to show how passionate we are about cybersecurity. So the agenda for today, we are going to go quickly through this cybercrime landscape. Why does someone can commit fraud and why they are using cyber space to commit fraud? Common types of fraud in the cybersecurity space, best practices, and what we can do to prevent becoming a victim of cybercrime, and additional resources that you can use to get better on this and to prevent that happening. Cybersecurity landscape. I'm convinced that you are always listening at the news and watching at the news, reading the newspaper, and you always see the cybersecurity landscape is very dynamic, that is evolving, that is becoming more sophisticated, and there's new technology available for the hackers to commit their cases, their frauds. But I would like to start talking about facts, things that are real. And so cybercrime costs make up 1% of the global GDP. That is a major figure. That is something that is significant. The other figure that is stand out here is 7.1 million of people became victims of cybercrime a year. So this is real. The other one is the average cost of a cyber breach in 2021 was $4.24 million. Cybercrime will cost 10.5 trillion in damage. That is the forecast by 2025. Once again, another big figure. And the last one here is that the cybersecurity market will worth more than 300 billion by 2024, next year. So that's why we at MCB, we are committed to protect our information security asset, but also help our stakeholders to get better on this, to create a level of awareness, because if you are compromising somewhere or another, we as a bank, we will see the impact, and we would like to support you in getting better in cybersecurity, in fostering a better and more robust cybersecurity culture, and do whatever is necessary to protect yourself. We feel that that is also part of our responsibility. Let's explore more figures. And one is Statistas is a company that is always looking into cybersecurity event incidents and creating data and meaningful information that we can use to make our decision. And we can see here the cost in millions of dollars of the different type of frauds. And one that is a stand out of all these different categories or types is business email compromise. And that's the reason why I decided to put that slide over here. Because we have seen business email compromise as a big cause of fraud in the region. And in this case, they are saying in this statistic that 59% of the business email compromise that is going 2,000 million a year is in the US. But there's another 41% of that big figure outside the US. So we might have these kind of cases. But you will see later on when my colleagues from MCB and from the police, they can give you more in-depth information about those cases. But business email compromise is something that we will talk about in this presentation, and you will see in the other presentation, just because it's something that is happening, something that is real. The evolving cybersecurity landscape, as I mentioned, why this is happening? Because there's more people connected every day to the internet than ever before. Hackers will have more possibility to reach more targets. By 2030, it's projected to have 7.5 billion of internet users. But what is even worse, that all those users, they have multiple access points to the internet. You have your phones, your tablets, TVs, refrigerators, water plant systems, jacuzzi systems, you name it, watches. Everything is connected to the internet. And is that a bad thing? Maybe no. But nothing is for free. That is imposing some risk that we need to be aware. Those devices and those connections are disclosing information about ourselves and about our behavior that somebody can use against us or in favor of us. Data volumes online will be around 200 petabytes. Don't ask me how big is that. Not even my mind can compute that figure. It's a lot of data. 50% of the world data will be stored in the cloud by 2025, in 2 years. That is a good thing because the data will be available. The data will be there for us to use it, but that once again imposes additional risk on us. 62% of employees between 22 years and 65 are working remotely at least occasionally. That is a norm now. I have heard people that they say that if you do not offer me the possibility to work remotely, I'm not going to work with you. And that's it. So maybe we are not seeing that at that extent, but that is happening. And we will see it very shortly. Volume and complexity and frequency of attack continue to grow. Well, basically because of the number of things that I have mentioned that are connected now to the internet and the number of things that we are not aware that they will become available to the internet. 200 billion of Internet of Things devices will be connected by 2031, and those Internet of Things are those devices that I'm talking about that are not computer by itself, but that they are leaking information or providing information to the internet about, I don't know, turning on the jacuzzi before you are leaving your office or what is in the plan for you, or turning the air conditioning and opening the door, or the alarm system. You name it. It's amazing. There will be, in 2 years' time, 4 million connected cars. Once again, is that a bad thing? Maybe it's a good thing, because people will use better the time and not driving. They will be connected, but that will impose some risk. And this data is going to become available, and when that data is available, some people can use it in a good way, but some people can misuse that availability. And that is what we have seen, facts. Okay? The cybersecurity space is evolving for good and for bad. Our data is there for good and also for bad. And some people are using that data, are using that connectivity to commit fraud. But why people commit fraud? According to research experts in fraud, they are saying that 10% of the people will never commit a fraud. And another 10% of the people will always try to commit a fraud, because this is within the genes. They will always try to take advantage of something. But 80% of the people will be enticed to commit a fraud if these three conditions are met. They have the opportunity to do it. They have something they can get, and they can rationalize it. Meaning, I'm going to have the data available, I'm going to have this information available, that connectivity available. Okay? I'm going to get some money out of it. And then it's not that much. The rationalization is not that much. I'm not going to get caught. This organization is so huge that if I can take this small portion of the money or the data, nobody's going to notice. So 80% of the population and 80% of the people within this room will be enticed to commit a fraud if that condition are met. Common types of fraud in cybersecurity or in the cybersecurity landscape. The first of all is the business email compromise. That was that one that is standard of the statistic from the statistics. Phishing, malware, ransomware, check fraud. I'm happy to know that in Bonaire we don't have checks, so we can toss it off. No check fraud in Bonaire. And credit cards. This morning you will see in the different presentations that we are touching these frauds over and over again, but there's a reason behind that. It's because are real. It's because those frauds are reaching our region. It's because we have seen cases in our region of those. And let us start with business email compromise. In the case of business email compromise is when one of the email of your vendors or your CEO or any top person within your organization is compromised. Somebody get access or got access to those emails. And then that person, the hackers, send an email to you or one of your colleagues asking you to make a wire transfer or make something, because they are playing that they are the person that was compromised. In this case, your employee initiate wire payment through Mcb Online or Mcb Direct. They got that and send the money. The employee, based on the email that they got, didn't verify, call back, validate the information, the request that was received, and process the wire payment. Days later, you detect that was not a real email, that wasn't a fraudulent email, and you find out when you are doing your reconciliation at the end of the month, if you're doing it, or at the end of the day, that the money is out. folks, this is happening oftentimes. And with the migration to the cloud, to Office 365, to Google, the Google version of it, that we are migrating all those emails to those cloud services, and we are not taking the necessary measure to ensure that those migrations are done the proper way, we are opening the doors for that opportunity. And it's happening. This is a brief diagram of how the thing happened. The requester impersonate the vendor or the executive. You get the mail. Mcb process the transaction because the information was legit at a time, and the money is sent to the beneficiary bank. Examples of it. We have, it can be a mail that is coming from a vendor and that is inquiring you to pay, or that is telling you that there's a change in the beneficiary account because they move from one bank to the other, and now the money, instead to be sent to the US, need to be sent to Hong Kong or to Philippines or whatever. And that happened overnight, and that they need to get the money immediately. And please don't talk to me because I am jumping on a fly now, and I'm not gonna be available for the next 18 hours. And the other one is the CEO scam, which is the top of the house sending you a mail that you need to do that, and you need to do it now because I am dealing with a vendor and doing a merge and buying this product, and if you don't pay that now, we are going to lose a business opportunity. Have you ever seen something like that in your organization? If you haven't, I'm so happy you didn't, but there's cases like that happening around us. Brief diagram of the flow. So you can see that then the hackers send the request impersonating the vendor or the CEO or the CFO or whoever, the operational officer, send that information to send the request to the organization, then the organization process the transactions to the bank. The information, and let me make this clear, the information, the credential to get access to Mcb Direct or Mcb Online are not disclosed. The people that are sending the money, they think they are doing the right thing, but they are not. The hackers are very pragmatic. They don't want to spend too much time and resources to meet the objectives. Whatever is easier, they will do that. This is not like the films that you say that they are breaking into system and they know a lot of things. No, they will look for the weakest link and they will try to take advantage of that opportunity and incentives. An example of a business email compromise. I'm not going to spend a lot of these details in my presentation because you will see more details in the coming presentation. But there are more close home, something that you can relate better. Once again, it can be, in this case, we are talking about three different examples, one from the payroll, somebody, and in that case, 18 cases were lost. Someone pretending to be a vendor. In that case, the compromise was 63 cases. And in the wire transfer, the CEO that wanted to do a good business with a new vendor, with a new company doing the merge, the money that was lost was 1 million. Phishing. Phishing is happening or was happening a lot in the region. At least we experienced a lot of phishing cases or attempts more than cases before the introduction of the second factor authentication that is based in token and using the biometrics. When the crooks were looking for the credential of the grid cards. But in this case of phishing, they are just looking for you to submit or enter the critical information like a password, username, and credit card numbers. In the case of, we were more used to see username, password, and grid cards. But now that that door is closed, they are looking for credit card numbers plus credit card information. The CVV, the CCV, the expiration date, the name that is written in the credit card. Example of them, good example of phishing. The red flags, and this is one thing that is important for us. One of the things that always is with any phishing is the urgency. You need to do that now. You need to click. You need to enter the data. You need to go to this portal because otherwise your account is going to be canceled. Your tax declaration is going to be closed and then you're done. So that is because they are using the urgency to push you to do it as soon as possible, to prevent that you to think. That is the first red flag that you need to pay attention. The other thing is that suspicious subject lines. It doesn't make sense to me. And then there's another one that it was, by the time I was creating this slide, it was a case, but it's no longer the case, and this is one of the most scariest thing nowadays. That was the incorrect grammar, incorrect abbreviation. That was like 2 months ago, the case, not anymore. Because we now have available something called artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. Have you ever heard about that thing? That thing can write a very nice email, very nice text, even a thesis if you want to, in whatever language you want to. We have tested that engine to create phishing emails in Papiamento. That engine can speak Papiamento with no grammar errors. So that thing that I was writing the moment I was creating this slide is no longer valid. It can be the case, maybe some lazy hackers that they are not using new technology, but those people are using the technology better than the way that we are using it. So that new thing, ChatGPT, I love it, I use it a lot. You can ask that thing to, even how can I cook chicken? You will get the receipt. Make this text a little bit better, a little bit nicer, a little bit stronger, whatever. It's a very useful thing. But you can also ask ChatGPT to write a malware for me, and it will do it. That is scary, but amazing. Malware. Malware is basically a small component of software that is created to compromise a computer. Basically to take advantage of the computer system and from there do whatever they want to. Meaning control the machine, escalate privileges, take control of the network, ransomware, but that is a component that is gonna circumvent the controls within each computer and open some doors for the hacker to control your computer and do with your computer or whatever they want, including servers, even though switches, some firewalls, and all computer devices. Ransomware. Ransomware is a malware, but a malware which objective is to destroy or negate the possibility of you to use the information you have or the computer power you do have. At the beginning of the malware or the ransomware era, it was just encrypting a folder, my documents, or any folder when you have or you had in the past valuable information, and they will allow you to keep using the system, but pay to open that folder where you have the nice picture and some tiny information about your company. But then they decided, no, let me close completely the system and ask for a ransom. We have seen cases, unfortunately, in the Dutch Caribbean, and not only in Bonaire, in the Dutch Caribbean, that was one of the reasons of the cyber incident that is happening oftentimes. And some people are paying, some people are not paying. In the two cases, this is a real headache. My recommendation is do not pay, but I cannot tell you that is the best solution. Because if you don't have a good, reliable backup that you can recover your data from, if you don't have a security practice that can help ensure that whenever you're recovering the information, recovering your systems are safe to keep operating, maybe that is not a good idea. I cannot judge the people that are paying also, because they need to recover the data. But the one thing that we need to be aware is that the US, and we're dealing a lot with the US, if they know that we are paying, we can perceive or receive sanctions, because in some way or another they are saying that we can be financing terrorism or money laundering and so on and so forth. And that is one of the things, but maybe still I can take the risk and pay the ransom to recover my data because I have no other option. But even though, maybe the key that is going to encrypt the information is not going to help you, because they didn't test it for the volume of data. We have seen a lot of cases when the people are paying and when they are trying to recover, the recovery fails. That is one. Second is, are you sure that they are not going to come back again? So you're trusting people that at a given point they did something bad to you. So, but our friends from the police will explain that better than me. But ransomware is something that is happening, something that is real. Common red flags. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. This is becoming a business, a very nice business, ransomware. And, you know, the technical people, sometimes we are not that good doing business. We are good developing code, talking to machines, but we are not good talking to people. So, and that's why they develop, the business people develop this model that is ransom as a service, meaning that you, technical guys, you are going to be just writing or creating the code to compromise computer, and you are going to give that to me, and I will do the business. And I will start compromising the system, and I will have the contact center to approach each one of my victims, and I will help them to recover or sell or whatever. Sell the product and help the victims to recover the data. And that is something that we have seen that is happening in the underground. If you want to compromise someone, you can go to the underground and you will find people offering this kind of service. So anybody that wants to do something against you, okay, sorry, I need to hurry up. That is a service, something that we need to be mindful. This is a business that is happening. Maybe the people that are compromising you are not necessarily the people that create the code. Those are just the contact center people. Ransomware is out of control. We have seen that these people, they don't care about the organization they are targeting. We have seen hospital and healthcare organizations that were compromised, and other kind of organization. And in this case, the only thing that I wanted to mention is that people are dying just because the system that were there to support their lives are not available anymore. And we have a case of a hospital that was compromised with ransomware, and they face a lot of issues close home. So I'm pretty sure that you have heard about that. But anyways, this is something that happened. This is something that is real. This is something that we need to be aware of, and we need to be ready to fight against. Credit card fraud. There's different credit card fraud. We are going to focus in this presentation only about the ones that are related to cyber. So, and in this case, you know that we moved from max drive to chip, Susie, like 10 years ago, maybe more than 10 years ago. More than 10 years ago, just because the people were just scheming, and Hendrik is going to talk about scheming later on, collecting the information from the max drive that was written there in plain text, and with the small devices you can read that information, and using that information out there to create, how it's called that, forged cards and pretending to be yours, even using other plastics. But that was the past. We move away from that thing long time ago, but still there are some merchants, internet-based merchants, that they are only requiring the number of the credit card, the name in the credit card, the expiration date, and the 3 values. Those are internet-based merchants. Amazon is one of those. So there are still people looking to get that information. That information is still valuable. And you are getting emails and text messages and requests to provide that information. That is happening, and we will see more details about these kind of things in the later presentations. Best practice. How can we protect, how can we prevent this from happening? In this case, one of the things that you will see in the presentation of our friends from the police, and something that I emphasize is, the first thing that whenever you notice something that is happening that is not right, you need to report. And you need to report if it is money, movement of the money out of your bank account. The first one that you need to notify is the contact center of the bank, and then you need to call your account manager and trying to understand what is happening. And if you know that it was an unauthorized, you identify that it was an unauthorized transaction, then you need to go and report it to the police, because they have the means and the people that can help you to see if you can recover that money. It's not that easy. Same, the bank will help you to try to recover the money. And based on the evolution of the thing, that we would like to get that instant payment, the money that we would like to send it to Holland, and we would like to get that money the same day. That was our desire. That is happening now. But now that is exposing us more, because if it is an unauthorized transaction, the money is leaving your account and is going directly to the other account, the beneficiary account. In the past, that took 3 days, 1 day, and we were complaining. But now, and at that time, we were able to recall the funds and fix the problem. But now the money is leaving quickly. Organizations like SWIFT are working on fraud prevention tools. SWIFT is the wire transfer platform that interconnects the different banks. And they are this year deploying a fraud prevention tool that will help us to keep a little bit more control of the funds based on the connectivity that we do have now. We are working on that, and the different central banks in the region, and working on onboarding that fraud prevention tool, but that tool is not available now. But it is going to become available. But if you report earlier, you can have a better chance to recover the funds. So remember always the 3 R's. And I missed that one. Recognize fraud. We need to be fraud aware. We need to have internal processes to identify when something is not right in our bank account. We need to have strong processes that can help us to check regularly. I cannot say daily or monthly, whatever is good for you. Regularly, the funds and the history on our bank accounts, companies' accounts too. We need to reject the fraud, but we can reject the fraud is meaning that I'm not going to become victim because I can identify the fraud. I can say this is not legit, let me disregard this email. But that is done through awareness And once again, the thing that I was talking at the beginning, report, and report as soon as possible. Okay, let's see if I'm not. In this case, the only thing that I would like to highlight is create fraud awareness. Talk about that, teach your people, learn yourself, be aware, review and reconcile your account daily. This is daily. Maybe it's a good recommendation, but I don't know if you can afford that. But do it regularly. Segregation of duty, prevent that have only one person dependency, meaning that only one person that is moving the money and the same person is doing the reconciliation, because you are creating the possibility for that person to commit a fraud. Use special accounts. That is something that you can discuss with your account manager. This account is going to be the one that I'm going to use for these purposes, to pay big amount of money or to pay a small amount of money. Those are the things that you need to look into yourself to see what is that the solution that can fit you better. And get regularly audits, external or internal. If you have the possibility to do both, do both. We are a financial institution. We need to have an internal audit, but also we need to have external audit. So they are reviewing frequently the internal process to make sure that everything is according to what we should have. Consider cyber insurance. Have you ever heard that? There's some brokers that are selling cyber insurance to companies. The product is there. And the product was there, I would say, over the last 5 years, but in the last 2 years, the insurance company are raising the bar, and they are asking you to comply with too many things to give you the chance to acquire the insurance. And when you look at it, it is, I'm going to spend that amount of money to be able to pay for the insurance, and then maybe I'm not going to need the insurance. But that is something, think about it. The product is there. Maybe it's something that you can afford, that can meet better your needs. But it's very demanding. How can I say that very politely? Don't be cheap. Invest in technology. Pay attention to security. Buy security product. Pay for the antivirus. Pay for a good firewall. Invest something. Put something in your budget. Take security into consideration. If you don't do it, then you can spend more. And use tools to educate the people. And we are mentioning some of them over there. Maybe they are not the best, but I can tell you Know Before is a solution that is not that expensive, and that is a solution that can help you to create cybersecurity awareness within your organization, and also can help you to test the resilience of your internal people against phishing, malware, and ransomware. So you can run oftentimes some phishing tests to see if they are clicking or not. And then you can program the system to, once the people is clicking, they are enrolled in a training, they go through a training when the red flags are explained, and then if they fail again, then you can put them to go once again through the system and the training, and if the people fail again, then you need to make a different decision. But we have seen that. We have seen that. And in one of the cases, thank goodness it was not at the bank, but one of the cases was that a company in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, that was hacked. And it was because of a phishing email. No? And that the person was identified, the forensic investigator came in and identified that it was Rigo. Rigo was the person, but he is the one that is making the thing happen at NCB with me. And the same person, when they were doing the test, after the recovery, they get out of the situation, fail again in the first phishing test. And the same person failed the next 10 times. So believe me, that person is not going to get it. So that person is a risk for the organization. So maybe it's a little bit exaggerated that this thing that I'm telling you happened. This is real. So use this kind of tool. They are affordable. Train your people. Spend some time creating security awareness. And that is the reason why we are here. And that is the reason why our friends from the police are making the effort to create more cyber awareness in Bonaire, which is something that is unique in Bonaire, and I'm so happy about it. That is not happening, unfortunately, in the other islands, the Dutch Caribbean islands, I'm talking. But what you can do, in the nutshell, pay for the antivirus solution, anti-malware solution, update your software, keep your software up to date. But the first thing that you need to do is pay for legal software. I have seen a lot of illegal software being used in companies and in business, a lot. And those illegal software cannot be patched. So if you cannot patch it, then you're going to become vulnerable in no time. The next one is use a strong password. And I didn't mention over there second factor authentication, but that is also a must. Unique password. Do not use the same password for everything. Do not use the corporate email address to register in everything too. So use your personal, your Gmail account, Hotmail account for the social media, and the corporate account only for business. Only access sensitive information when you are connected to the trusted network. Do not do that through any open Wi-Fi. An example of that, do not go to your bank or check your accounts at the bank if you are in a public network. Think before click. That is something that is easy to say, but I don't know. We have the tendency to click everything because it's easy. Click, and then think. So, but even though if you click, because you have that tendency, think about the consequence, and if you need to report immediately. I did something wrong. I don't know what happened. I would like to make sure that I didn't do anything that is going to create a problem for me later on. Continue using common sense. Be a skeptic. Pay close attention to the privacy policy in social media. Sometimes you are accepting and you don't know what information the media is disclosing about you. So the other thing that do not create, do not give the people the opportunity to target you. The people, they don't need to know that you are in the Netherlands and your home is alone. So wait, when you come back, you can start posting those pictures. But when you are there, I know that it's nice not to say, I am here in Alaska. Yeah, but then you are creating the possibility for somebody to do something against your homes. That is just an example, but that can happen also in the cyber world. The next is fraud awareness. Establish internal processes that can help you, that can guide you whenever something like this happens. So write something down. It doesn't need to be a big document, a big procedure, but if you identify an authorized transaction in your account, which are the steps that you need to follow? That maybe is enough. They say, I need to call this, this is the number that I need to call, and then I need to do this, then I need to do that. Keep it written, because when you are in panic mode, you are not going to make the best decision. So keep those things written and practice those procedures oftentimes. I would say that is, once again, the reason why we are here and why we are partnering with the police, because we know that we need to work in creating more awareness within our communities. We are committed to do that. We are working on that daily at Mcb, group-wide, review our internal processes and control and make the necessary adjustment whenever it's necessary. If you notice something, talk to your bank representative. We will try at our best effort to support you to recover the funds. But as I said, based on the evolution of the technology, sometimes that is not that easy. But if we report earlier and we report to the police, we are giving to the both of us more possibilities to succeed. Prevention is a shared responsibility between you, ourselves, and other stakeholders. And something that we keep insisting, the bank will never call you asking you for secret information like your password, your credit card number. So be aware of that. If you're getting this kind of request, sure, that is not coming from the bank. Protect yourself. I'm going to skip that one because I would like to talk about something quickly before I leave. Quickly. So we have these two front buildings. What do you think that is? And it is the same building, as you can see. But if you look at them at a different moment in time, which one do you think that has more robust cybersecurity posture? It's obvious. I know. Okay, so there's some tools in the internet. Some of them you need to pay for. Some of them are available for the crooks. But before we came, we did a research. We asked our bank expert on the island, give me the name of some companies. In Bonaire, we would like to have a look. So I'm happy to see that some of them, and this tool, Cyber Security Scorecard, is a tool that can help me to do a research with the public information that is available on the internet about the different companies. Okay? And that information, that's why I'm talking about the front, whatever that is publicly available, whatever is your digital footprint. And from that tool, we identify that, okay, there's some companies that they have a very good cybersecurity posture. Those are the ones that are with A. Yeah. Are you following me? You don't have the name of those organizations, but this is one, this is Mcb. And we saw also that there's some organizations that require some work. There's some windows that are broken that need to be replaced. There's some pain that need to happen on those companies. You can see this one. 18 attack, almost 0. 53 network security. Those are practice that company has. So if I can see that from the outside, I cannot imagine how is the security practice inside. That is one thing. The second thing is, if I can see it, other people can see it too. I'm paying for this, the hacker are not paying for that. So we are going to approach the customers individually that are not in the best position, and we are going to disclose individually the result, the report, to help them to do those painting, to replace those doors, to replace those windows, and enhance the cybersecurity push. If any of you is compromised in some way or another, we are getting compromised, we are going to get impacted. We are part of the community, and we have a responsibility with you. And that's the reason why we are here. And resources, I would like to talk about only one. The first one can help you to identify the number of breaches your email address was found. Spend some time, it's a good exercise. I have been found. Go over there and put your email address on that. You can use both, the company, whatever, just to check. And that database is a database that is collecting all the different breaches that were experienced in the world, and then they will check to you and say, hey, you were breaching this, this, and that. In my case, my Gmail account has been compromised at the very least 21 times. So it's a good exercise. That's to give you an idea that that is there, it's available. If I can get access to it, other people with different intention can get access to it. I have nothing else to say. Okay, we have other links that you can use, Mcb Client Security, Cyber Safe, which is another repository of good information that you can use to enhance and to do better cybersecurity practice. And our friend from the police, the cybercrime unit from the police in Bonaire. Thank you very much. If you have any question, you can do it now or during the break. We are here to help you as much as we can. Now I'm gonna pass the token to our colleague Hendrik Kronk from the Cybercrime Unit, and he's gonna talk about specific cases, things that we have seen happening, real, no theory. Hendrik.
Okay, thank you, Douglas. Welcome, everybody. As he said, I'm also from the bank within security investigations. As I can explain a little bit, information security is basically protecting the bank and the assets of the bank, which the customers of the bank is for sure an asset. They are protecting them up front. We as security investigations is basically after the fact. So you will get into contact with us at the moment something went wrong. So yeah, that's the least of, you don't want to get into contact with me personally because of that situation. So who are we? We are a team of 4 people in Curaçao. We have an investigator on every island, so in Bonaire, on Sint Maarten and Aruba. It's led by Carlos Marta. Carlos Marta is in the room today, so if you have any questions, you can ask him. He has the most experience of us all. I'm in the bank for 12 years now, and dealing with all the electronic frauds. Electronic frauds are basically the cybersecurity threats, including also bank cards, things, physical cards. What do? Well, we will research everything that happened to our customers and the bank itself, report on how we can improve that situation, hand it over back to information security so they can act on, and hand it over to the police so they can basically arrest the people that are behind it. Today I would like to talk about scams. We will also go over card fraud. And at the end, I will go over phishing more in detail. So the scams. Scams is a very wide word. It contains a lot of frauds. I will start off with mystery shopper scams, because mystery shopper scams is basically the end point of fraud. That's a way they get the money out, and it will repeat in all of the subcategories later on. So I will start off that. We'll spend the most time in the invoice hijacking, as the target group of the invoice hijacking is basically companies. So that's you guys. We come with all the examples we use are things that happened on the islands, and I targeted this presentation especially for Bonaire. So all what is in the presentation happened on the island. So a mystery shopper. What's a mystery shopper? We also call it a money mule. These are people that think they got a job. They got a job to evaluate a certain service or a product, and it's an actual service that does exist. It's called IPSO. So you can go on the internet, find it. It's an actual service. You can hire someone to evaluate, let's say, McDonald's. If you enroll for that, you will get a little amount, go to McDonald's, you make a report about the service. They use exactly the same to wire fraud money out. So how they do it? They get people to try to get a job, tell them, okay, you will receive some money and you have to send it via Western Union or other money transfer services. You have to buy iTunes cards or other gift cards. And that's how they get the stolen money that they stole on the other kind of scams out of the country and into the criminal network without a trace. So what is popular about the money transfer services? They're also related to all kinds of frauds, because that's the way to get the money out. During my presentation, I will have some infomercials that will come back all the time. This one is one. The target group of this kind of scam are mostly the younger people in the community with lesser financial means, because they are more easy to get a job for a 100 guilder job. They are going into it. So they are the target group. Every case will more or less spend $250 to $5,000 each time. They don't happen constantly. It's in season. So at the moment we don't see them, luckily. However, it happens really every year. So now and then we will see it. At the moment it starts happening, we will see a lot of them. It's not one, because they put ads on Facebook, like, you need a job, apply and you will get it. It's a 1 hour, 200 guilders kind of job. So they put it out there, they will get a lot of people applying for it. So at the moment we see it, we see a lot of them. That also makes it successful in stopping them. Because if we catch one, we know the modus operandi, and we will follow that, find the other ones too, and inform the people, like the people that sell the iTunes cards and the money transfer services, to be aware. So how do we recognize this kind of fraud? I split it in two. One is about the account holder, which is the person that is actually into the scam, and I put it as a merchant. This is more for you guys, because you guys will most probably be the one that seeing it happen. So the account holder, well, they will get an easy job. If you apply for a job and they don't ask you for all your credentials and they don't ask you where you live, they don't do a background check, that's a red flag. Every company will want to know who they are hiring. So there's no validation of personal data. The amounts involved are large amounts. The example I gave of McDonald's, they gave like 25 guilders, 50 guilders, 25 guilders to spend, 25 for you. This time you will get $4,000 at once on your account. Go to Western Union, send out 3.5. Who will send you that kind of money even without knowing you, without seeing a picture of you or whatsoever? They're also under great time pressure. They will be pressed to go now and call me when you're there, and that's one of the points that really stands out. Okay, what can you see as a merchant? Well, someone approach your company to buy iTunes cards. Not one, not two. Let's give me 50 of $100 each. That's not a normal sale. It stands out. You will note, like, what are you going to do with that amount of cards? Now it's cards. It could be a different product in the future. If you sell a service that could be redeemed on the internet, they will target your company as well. And yeah, we will eventually visit your company, ask you, hey, what happened here? Why did you sell that kind of cards? For money transfer services, that's a little bit more tricky, as yeah, they are dealing every day with new customers that they don't know, transferring big amounts. However, a Jamaican guy coming to your company, sending funds to India, doesn't match up. That could be a red flag. It's always a good thing to just check in, how did you get that money? They will come with unclear reasons. Yeah, it's a medical thing for someone I barely know. Well, we have examples for it. If you want to have more information, if it targets your company, please feel free to contact us. We will assist you, and we will see how we can protect you or make contact so you can ask us on the spot, hey, we have this customer. Would that be okay? So what do we do as MCB? Well, we do awareness. We do awareness on Facebook. So in case the season of this happens, we will place ads on the Facebook informing people. We do monitor financial transactions. Once one of those money mules has been identified, we will go over the transactions and see who's related to it. If the funds are still available in the account, we will hold them immediately. The account will be blocked, and you will be called into the bank, and we will recover the funds. One thing very important, police report. We are still a bank, we have no authority. So I'm not able to tell you, you have to pay this amount back. That's more for the police. The police will enforce that kind of things. We can't. We can see if the funds are available. If they're still available, we can freeze them for further processing. We can decide you have to pay back. Right? That's a thing of the police. So police report, and you will hear later on the presentation too, it's very important. So this is how they wire money out of the country. Now I will come to something that's really targeting the audience of today. It's businesses. It's the invoice hijacking. You also saw in Douglas' presentation, that one was the big bar that take like all of the funds. There are not so many cases, but the cases are huge. So who's targeted here? Well, that's businesses. And per case, we see tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. We even had a local case over 1 million. Right? So there's a thing here on the island, on the other islands, it's worldwide. It happens randomly. We can't prepare for it. It happens basically all the time. Luckily, there are single cases. There are not cases like phishing or an ad that had happened on Facebook that a lot of people get into. They are single cases. Sometimes we will find a second one because, yeah, if we catch one, we will see where they are transferring the money to and see if other people transfer money to that same beneficiary. Well, then we can catch a second one. But it's not a thing that happens on batches. It's a single case. So how can we recognize this part? Well, imagine you have a seller that is selling you your products you're selling, your supplier. Your supplier now changes their banking information without prior notice. So you get an invoice, and now the invoice have a different banking information. And they put in the email quickly like, yeah, we changed because we can't access it today. We have to send it to the different bank. That's a red flag. Normally when you deal with your suppliers, you will copy your supervisor in it. They mostly too. The situations we have seen in the past, that part was missing. So if I was communicating to one of your people and copying your manager, now I don't copy him, I leave out my manager, so it's between the two of us, That's because I don't want attention. I want to keep it between us. Sometimes we see a slightly different sender address. They change a 1 to an I to a 1 or a O to a 0, just like doctors also showed us. And how can we prevent it? Well, this is a situation that you can prevent very easy. Once you onboard a new supplier, make sure you will save the banking information in your internet banking, make a template, and only use that template. If they come with a situation that they have to change the banking information, which could happen, doesn't happen often, but it could happen, but make a strict procedure about it. Don't be ashamed to call the CEO of that company, ask them if indeed they changed banking information. I can surely ask here how many companies they changed their banking information last 10 years. I don't think I will see a lot of hands. Did someone really change of bank last 10 years in the company? No one? So that doesn't happen that much. So if it happens, make sure you will follow up on that. Don't just pay. No, really go to the CEO of the company, ask them, why did you change? The security awareness is very important. These kind of scams start off by a simple phishing. And the simple phishing could, well, the person involved mostly is the financial person. The financial person will be educated in cybersecurity. However, is your forklift driver too? Your forklift driver may have an email address of your company. If he receives a phishing, clicks on it, they get access to his email. Now they can use spear phishing, which is directly addressing your financial director to get access to their email. I will come back to that later in the presentation. However, security awareness to all staff is very important. And of course, second factor authentication. Make sure your email is safe, because the email is the entry point, right? And nowadays we have all information in our emails, and we all have the cloud services, so all the emails are on the cloud. Once I get your email address information, I can see all your emails you sent. What do we do in this situation? Well, we make awareness like this kind of presentations. We actively transfer transaction monitoring. Once someone got into a fraud situation, that a beneficiary will be monitored forever. So once a transfer went out or was planned to go out to a beneficiary which is a fraud, no one within the Mcb group will be able to send money to that specific beneficiary anymore without me noticing, at least. We will assist you in finding the compromise. Why? Well, these kind of situations always happen if one of the two people involved email has been compromised. It's either yours or your suppliers, but they got an entry point. We will try to find, we will assist you finding those. We know the keys that to find. Together with my colleagues of information security, we will analyze the risk profile for you and come up with a mitigation plan for you, right? That could also change your banking information that you have, your credit cards. Let's go for that one. So what does this do to your company? Well, once I get access to your email, if I'm a hacker, I'm not going to get into your email and just send out emails. I'm not a spammer. I'm not spamming. I'm reading each and every email in your box for the last 10 years. I will get all documents you sent. I will get all your IDs you scanned and placed in your thing. You signed contracts, I have your signature. I go to your, I will search for credit cards. Do you process credit cards of your customers? You send them by email, which is not a good practice, but it happens. I will capture those credit card informations. I will check if you have passwords saved. I will go to portals like PayPal and reset your password. You will not notice it because I will automatically delete the response of PayPal. But I will have your password of PayPal as well. And one thing really, really important, all your contacts will be copied. They will not be used immediately, but eventually. It's not a shame to tell your contacts, I have been compromised. It's a shame if your contacts will be compromised next year because yours was today, right? So let your contacts know, we got a breach inside. Please make sure you don't get this kind of phishing. Let them know how the phishing happened. It really helps the community as a whole. This is the invoice hijacking. Please make sure you notice these because this could break your company. Now we go to a lesser impactful situation, the 419 scams or the advanced fee scams. I have some examples here, the lottery scam, the romance scam, inheritance scam. Who has received ever an SMS of Samsung? Not so much. If I ask this on Curacao, like everybody will raise their hands, because everybody that has a digital number have received those SMSs over and over again, right? They are targeting us as well. What is a 490 scam? Well, they will promise you something big. You will be promised sometimes multi-million. You won a lottery or you have an inheritance that you never heard about that person at all, but he has millions. You will get those millions, they say. You only have to pay some little cost for the notary. If the notary is done, then it's the lawyer. If the lawyer is done, that will be the transport service. There will be always a next cost. Right? That's why I have this graphic here. You will never get out of it. It will keep on. We have seen customers, and I'm not making this up, really a customer, sending $1,000 each month for the last 10 years. His salary was $1,200. Ish. Right? So we really sent out everything he had. Well, how can you, this sentence you all have heard about, I guess. It's really the thing. If you have something that's too good to be true, it probably is. Ask your friends to check if, hey, is this right? Because once you're in this kind of fraud, you will be blind for the truth. You will, as I said, this person sending out funds for 10 years, this person still doesn't believe it. Yeah, I spoke to him multiple times. He still doesn't believe it. He doesn't send out any money because we blocked it. But he's still trying to find ways to send out money. Okay, who's targeted? Well, everybody is targeted. They don't care who's getting into it. Luckily, the amounts in general are lower. They're like 500 to 5,000 guilders or dollars in general. However, yeah, there are exceptions going way higher. It happens constantly. Every day you will find those kind of they will just spam you. How do they spam you? Well, they breach a company, get all the email addresses of a company, like Amazon or big companies. Target was one that was hit. Everybody that had an account at Target, their email was on the street. They just buy those databases and send out, hey, you inherited so much money. Some people recognize it, some people don't, and they just capture it. Mostly, these situations are single cases. However, I put an asterisk to it. It's not once we get someone into this situation, we will, as always, check where the money is going to. The beneficiary most probably will receive funds from different victims, so we will capture 2 or 3 other ones that even didn't notice it. So someone went into it, sent 4 payments out, then found out, hey, this is not good. They come to us, tell us, hey, I was in this situation, can you do something to get my money back? Well, that's a thing. Getting money back these days, that's not easy. However, we can prevent the other ones to keep on sending money. So how can we recognize it? I again put it in 2 different groups, as a victim, as a bystander. Hopefully you will be the bystander. As a victim, well, you receive unsolicited benefits. Without even buying ever a lottery ticket, you win $1 million. Not $1 million, $100 million. And that's not a joke. People really get $100 million for a lottery that they never bought a ticket for. If it's too good to be true, well, we can repeat that all the time. If it looks too good, don't go into it. There will be always another cost, and every cost is the last one. After this one, you will get the funds. However, yeah, at the moment the funds was sent to you, they make a mistake in the banking information. Now it's on Aruba instead of Curaçao. Well, yeah, we have to recall it. It will cost you again and again and again and again. It will never stop. This guy is 10 years in. Every time another reason. Well, if someone tells you you had a multi-million-dollar situation, well, that's a red flag. I don't know people that gain multi-millions at once without a legal lottery of a country or something, but multi-million things that are like disguised and don't talk about it, that doesn't happen. Often we see that the people have contact with bank directors, CEOs, officials of the FBI. I don't know about you, but I have no contact with no CEO of the bank else than our own. I have because I'm employed. But if not, I would not have direct contact with our CEO easily. Right? That's a thing that doesn't happen. You don't have contact with the CEO of Bank of America. Well, we have seen people having that. As a bystander, how can you recognize it? Well, the guy of sending funds for 10 years, he was distracted at his work. His work detected it. As well, he's always thinking just about that, not doing his work. He has never money. He just received his salary but can't buy a lunch. That's, well, really strange, you know. We found a cleaning lady inquiring for a million home in Curaçao. So the real estate companies will definitely be able to capture this kind of people asking for a house. This lady I'm talking about, as a cleaning lady, she got into a romance scam, thinking about a general of the US Army that is coming to Curaçao to marry her. So she needs a decent home for him. So she went to the real estate agent, want to buy a home in Jansevat. I don't know if you know Curaçao. Jansevat is a gated community, very expensive, multi-million homes. Well, she wanted to buy a property there. So what do? Well, again, we actively monitor transactions. If the transaction has happened via our system by another person, we will find the same beneficiary again. I want to stand still a little bit for recall transactions. If a SWIFT transaction happens, there's a misconception. People think that if a transaction has happened at the bank, you have 24 hours to stop it, right? Does anybody heard about that? It was in the past. Well, at this moment, when you hit that submit button on internet banking, it's out of our hands. It's straight through processing. A recall for a fraud transaction. Recalls do exist. So if a Swiss transaction go out and you entered a wrong bank account information, you call the bank, please recall that transaction. It will happen. We can recall that transaction. However, if a transaction went out for a fraudulent purpose, the beneficiary of that transaction is waiting for that money to receive. It's a money mule, right? The mystery shopper. He's waiting for the money to receive to go to Western Union. They take the money out immediately. So at the moment the funds is sent, it's withdrawn, and we as a bank are out of the picture. We are a bank, we are not an authority. That's where the police come in. Once it's withdrawn, we can't do a thing anymore, the police will. What we also do, we confront the customer. Just the example of the guy that's sending out money 10 years is not an exception. These persons are really blind for the reality. They really think they're into the situation and that they will get the benefit. They just see the benefit. They don't see the little costs. They're very hard to convince that this benefit doesn't exist. So it's a difficult situation. Then we come to a different kind of scam. Let me see the time. Okay, we are quite on time. Those are the ad scams. This is a thing that didn't happen on the islands in the past, luckily. Why? Because our islands are too small. If I want to sell something, the buyer will come to me, see the product, pay me, get away with the product. That's different in big countries. In big countries, you can put something on Facebook, let someone pay you, and you ship it out, because they are 200 miles out. You can't visit each other. Nowadays, we have seen car selling situations. Someone selling a Toyota RAV 2010. We have seen the same advertisement for only 2,000-3,000 guilders. Does that sound good to you? Or a 2010 Toyota RAV? Well, not to me. Those cars are more valuable. This phone number is not a local phone number. However, they're talking in Dutch, saying ANG. So they're showing that they're local, but they're not. The phone number is not local. If you get into this ad, they will sell you the car, whether it's sold already 10 times or not. They will sell it again for you. They will let you pay half of the money, and then they will send it to you, because the car is not here. The car is in Jamaica. What happened? Someone in Curaçao bought this car. This car was sent from Jamaica to Curaçao via a company in Colombia. So they had to pay Colombia. Someone local, living in Jamaica, you have to pay Colombia? Doesn't seem right for me. Now the car arrives on Bonaire. Bonaire is the authority to check if the car is worthy to get on the road of Curaçao. That's what they told. They have to do the test of the car, the keuring, here. Does that sound good? The other way around? Maybe, but even not. It should be done on the local island, not internationally. So what happened, and how can we recognize it? I expected the other slide. Where is it? I expected this one. Okay, those are individuals, mostly with stronger financials. because they don't want you to go to the bank and get a loan, because if you go to the bank, they will recognize certain clues, so they are targeting more people that have the financial means. Or even they will tell you, just pay the part you can pay right now and pay me later. They will tell you, you can pay in 10 months for the car. That's not local. They never saw you, they don't know you. They allow you to pay the money, they give you the car and pay in 10 months. The cases run from 250 to 10,000 in general. We have seen this with money mules. People in Bonaire get into this situation, send out money to Seba, where they transferred it out via Western Union. Not Western Union, that was not on Seba. The iTunes cards. It happens seasonally. However, if it happens, there are always multiple cases, because that car has been sold 10 times, 20 times, the same car, right? They put an ad on Facebook, and everybody that applies to it will get a car. Okay, let's go back to the 2 slides I skipped. Okay, how do we recognize it? Again, it's too good to be true. Well, then it probably is. It's impossible to view the item in person. Right now it's a car, right? But we don't know what will happen in the future. Maybe they sell services. We will see in the future. Hopefully not, but as Douglas also told, this is a rising trend. So I hope it will not happen, but it will happen. The product is mostly not on the island, because we have a small community. You would go to the place and view the product. So they will act like it's not on the island. You have to pay someone else than the beneficiary. As I already explained, the car is in Jamaica. It's a local person of Curacao, and you have to pay someone in Colombia. To me, that doesn't add up. It's not the person selling the car that you're paying. Conflict of information. The car had different colors or something. There was something, but if you are going to check the information, didn't add up, or it had 2 different years of build. Was it 2010 and now it was 2012. Something like that, yes. There's always another fee. Again, if you paid for something and they come back and they say, yeah, you have to pay something else again, it happens again. In this particular case, it even went the other way. Someone bought the car, paid 1,000 guilders for the car. Now the other fee came. This person didn't have money anymore. Oh, they will help you with paying the cost of the curing by sending money to you so you can pay the curing. What they did, they hit someone else with the same scam, use you as a money mule to send out the money. So now you're in 2 different scams at the same time. You bought a car, now you're a money mule. So at the end, the bank will knock on your door. Hey, you received 5,000 guilders here. What did you do with that? You send it to Colombia. For what? For a car in Colombia. Well, where's the car? In Jamaica. Okay, good. Anyway, that's my daily job, people. We also see pictures that you don't recognize the landmark. Well, how many parking lots are there on the island? You see a parking lot in the picture where the car is, and the car is parked on a parking lot with more than 100 spaces. How many parking lots on Bonaire have more than 100 spaces? There are not so many. You will recognize them. You will see the businesses next to it. You will not see any business you recognize. Even if you look good, you will see a Walmart. Where do you have a Walmart on the island? Even worse, there's no Walmart in Jamaica. but it was in the picture of the car. By the way, the names are changed, so it could be a different company. I don't know if Walmart is in Jamaica, so don't pin me like, hey, there is a Walmart in Jamaica. Could be. I just make it up. Okay, what do? Again, we do awareness. We post these kinds of scams on our Facebook. If we encounter them, we will try to find every other victim out there to prevent them to send more funds out. In case the funds are already sent, we will do recall, although it's not successful mostly, and we will hold the funds if they're still available on the accounts. And of course, we will confront the customer who is in denial by standard. They're already, no, but the car is in Bonaire now. We're in Kyoto. Yeah, why should it be shipped to Bonaire? Yeah, because the container ship went to Bonaire. So which container ship goes to Bonaire, not to Curacao? They couldn't answer that one. As far as I know, the big ships come to Curacao, not to Bonaire. So it doesn't add up again. Okay, we have went over this. These are basically the scams we see, right? These are the most used things we saw. Now I will go to the card fraud. We see two things. We will see skimming, where they basically copy cards, and we will see the fallback fraud. So skimming, I have some examples right here. Whoa, I really have to hurry up. Yeah, I have a lot of things right here. You can see it in the break. I also have them on the screen. Skimming, well, everyone with a bank account, bank card or POS terminal can be targeted. They are going quite high amounts, happen seasonal, and a lot of cases at the same time, as everybody at a certain ATM could be targeted. They're not that successful anymore because we have the chips. So our cards are basically very good protected. So what's wrong in this picture? Well, we have an ATM here. I don't know if you noticed, this part should appear. That's the camera. That's the camera, that little hole there. Yeah. Well, this is a big thing which isn't one of ours. We have different ones that are way smaller. Like these. These has been installed. You could see it if you recognize it on the ATM. You can't see this when it's inside the ATM. Even I couldn't see it. Trained to it. 10 years, 12 years. Keypad overlays, they do that to capture your PIN. They use either camera or a keypad overlay. The old ATMs had a speaker. Well, they placed this in the speaker. Well, nowadays we don't have that speaker anymore. The dip reader, I have this. These devices are right here. You can check it out in the break. Yeah, I put a sugar next to it to illustrate. It's small. It's not this big like it's on the screen. It's that big. I want to. Okay, this one. This one is a thing to capture credit card information. This could happen at your company. One of your employees could have this hidden somewhere. And yes, it is really hidden. You didn't notice I'm carrying a device, right? I had it all the time with me. It's this small. This is all they need to capture credit cards. If the customer isn't looking, they swipe the credit card. They don't have to turn it on, just swipe it, put it back in the pocket. Now they have a copy of your credit card. If you see this one is way bigger, but you most probably will not see it, as this will be happening in hotel rooms, hidden from the view. They will make the cards. This is actually to make from a blank card, like this, a credit card. Without chip, by the way. And these are the cards that are actually on the table here. So what do we do as MCB? Well, we make awareness, and it's difficult to tell people to scout on the ATMs. However, you as a group, every time you use an ATM, just check how the surroundings of the ATM is. Don't feel ashamed to let us know, hey, something of the ATM is a little bit different. And little bit could be a very tiny thing. We will check it. We will monitor transactions. We will inspect the ATMs at least twice a day, every day. All of them, on all the islands. At the moment we detect something, we will block all the cards that are at risk and investigate and prepare arrests for the scammers, which we did. We have arrested people on, I think, all the islands already. Aruba, St. Martin, Curacao, for sure. Bonaire? No, we didn't arrest someone. Luckily, we can arrest them because once we arrest one, the islands will be safe for a couple of years. They really communicate with each other. Once we capture them, they will be scared of ours. Okay, what can you recognize? Well, the changes in the appearance of the ATM. Someone using a lot of cards. If someone comes with this amount of cards, going to the ATM, using them one by one, that's not a thing. Just let us know. Employees carrying a little device like this. Well, just ask them, what do you have in your pocket if it's your employee? Someone taking your credit card out of sight. You went to a restaurant. Nowadays we have the point of sales that they can bring to your table, right? Don't let your credit card go out of sight. Don't give your credit card to the waiter that he will process it. No, let them come with the terminal to you. If they don't come with the terminal, go there because it's that easy. I can walk over there, swiping the card without even seeing it while you're looking at me. It's that easy. It goes in 1 second. Now we come to the fallback fraud. This can happen at your business. What happens? Someone approaches you and tell you, like, I have a thing here, a lot of cards. I will do something with your point of sale. You will get $10,000 out of this. You don't have to sell me anything. You just give me 8,000, the 2,000 is for you. So, doesn't sound like a good deal, right? If this happens, those runs in the tens to 50,000s. It's a big thing. It happens occasionally, but if it happens, those are people that travel to the island and target a lot of the companies. So there will be multiple cases. It's not a standalone thing. So how do you recognize it? Well, someone approaches you and they tell you, I want to use your point of sale for something different than buying the candy bar on in your shop. They come with the blank cards, like these, or like these. Doesn't look right. Or they just come with one card and a device like this and a laptop. Does that look good? Not really. What they do, they tell you there's no consequences for you, as the fallback will not, they will not claim it, because the risk of fallback is at the other bank. What they forget to mention, if yes, a fallback transaction, if one happen, nothing will happen. If tens or hundreds happen, we will be fined. We will notice. We will block your point of sale. That's not a nice thing. If we get into this situation, we will block your point of sale. Imagine your point of sale is blocked. Your company will be at a difficult situation as nobody can pay. We will investigate, and we have a different face right then. You're not that nice. And we will make you liable of all the funds that are lost in this situation. including the fines, which run quite high. It is, yeah. So there's international fines too. You could internationally be targeted by officials. Okay, how much time do we have left? Really? The phishing, really quick. Phishing is the entry point of like all the scams. We have to stop? No, go quickly. It's an entry point. I will go quickly as I don't want to break into your break. So, who is targeted? Everybody is targeted. You will receive those emails over and over and over again. And, well, yeah, while one could be $250 to $10,000 each, that's nothing compared to irreplaceable things. As they can install a malware or a ransomware just by a single click on an email. Meaning your whole company's data will be encrypted, your company will be set back tens of thousands of dollars. Even your company could go down because, yeah, you don't have the data to serve your people. Well, it happens seasonally. We see it like happening in batches to us as a bank, right? We as a bank are targeted. However, we see it constantly because like every service on the internet is targeted. If it happens, it's not one case. It's because they send those emails out by batches. How does it look? Well, this is one of Mcb's. This one is in Dutch. You always see that you have to click somewhere. You also see them in English. Or papiamento. It's not a thing that they only do international languages. They do local languages. When you visit, when you click on it, in the case of Mcb, you will see a page that looks exactly like ours, including the warning about phishing. It's still on there. You have to fill in your username and password. This. You have to fill all the 50 values of the ePass. A lot of people did it completely. Okay. Now you provided them all the means to get into your account and empty your accounts. As bad as that may sound, it can get worse. Because this comes after it. What's your name? What's your birth date? Why do they need a birth date? Because that's a lot of times your password for other services or your recovery of other services. Your mother's name, your phone number, your email address. Hey, why the email address? Because if you have your email address, I can spam you again. Password of your email. Well, if I have your password and your email of your password, now I know what you do, where you work. I know everything about you as I can read every single email of your box. I can target you for other kind of frauds. And I will copy all of your contacts. So once you fill this in, all your contacts will be targeted as well. They even tell you, hey, check if you filled it in correctly, and if not, go back. Because they really want to make sure you filled in the information correctly. They do a better job than we do in checking the data, by the way. Okay, well, we do indeed let the community know if it's happening to us. On Facebook, we will tell them how it is. Mostly, you will not see your name on top, as they buy into the email addresses and batches. Sometimes they don't have the names because the names are more expensive. Well, yeah, if you search phishing on the internet, you will find a lot of examples. It doesn't happen only to us; it also happens to PayPal. Well, every service you can think about will happen. I have one here of Office. Why do I specifically do this one? This one was the entry point of a big encryption scheme, and the Ransomware, exactly. Once the truck driver clicked on this one, they got into the system, they targeted other people. Now they will encrypt the whole company based on just clicking on this little tiny link. Your computer is infected, everybody logging in on that PC, credentials are captured, they will get the administrator password, go to the server, you're done. Your company basically can close for a week or so. Okay, how to recognize it? Well, institutions never ask your information via email or click on links. We don't ask you to click on links. Maybe we will send you an email, hey, please call us. We can't reach you. Call us on 466 in Curacao, the number of the bank. If you have any doubt, go to the institution that is sending the email. On their website, find the phone number there, call that phone number, ask them if they send it. And you know for sure you're dealing with that. Don't call the phone number in the email because they put a phone number on purpose. Poor word choice or grammar errors. Well, poor word choice, we saw emails in Papiamento starting like botinco hasi. Well, I don't think that's polite. So it's not personalized. They don't put your name on it. It's always urgent. You have to do it quickly. Why quickly? Because I'm at the bank and I will take that site down within an hour or two. So you have to act before the 2 hours because they know I'm at the bank. The links are hidden. You don't see like mcb-bank.com. No, you see click here. The website is mostly not SSL, although nowadays there are SSL encryption, as you can buy that for $10 or so. And the URL does not start with the bank's domain. What do? Well, we do awareness like this on the internet. We monitor our brand name. If our brand name will be used if you notice MCB on your website, we will get a notice and we will check it and find, yeah, that's our customer, that's okay. But if not, we will take the site down. We will detect fraudulent logins. We have artificial intelligence programs checking every login of internet banking. We will deactivate the internet banking immediately if we detect something strange and hold the funds if available, or try to recover it again. Like the money mules, like the SWIFT transactions, it happens over and over again. So I think I ate a little bit into your break time, but this is our presentation. Feel free to contact us during the break or after the presentation. Outside of the meeting room, we have a little QR code. If you scan the QR code, you will have me in your phone with my email and phone number. And yeah, I don't hide my phone number and my email, so please feel free to take a copy of it. After the break, the police will take over and give you more examples how they can actually arrest the people that we identified.
Yes, before we go over to the break, I think something very important that came forward was the examples you gave about cards.
Mm-hmm.
As a bank, we promote more usage of cards, less usage of cash, but you just saw many examples that fraud can be done with cards. But you mentioned something very important, the chip. So at the closing, so when we do the closing, I'm going to ask my colleague Dan to explain why, because you mentioned it's safer with the usage of a card with the chip, because we do promote more usage of cards, but when you listen to that part, you say, hey, why do I want to use the card if they can do fraud so easily? But we do have an option, so my colleague, which is an expert in cards, will explain why it's safer and why we promote more usage of that part of card, okay? So feel free to, we go over now to the break.
Okay, thank you. Feel free to check out the actual devices we found on our ATMs. I will be explain it.
My name is Gary Clementina. I'm here with my colleague Sharon Heymans. Also have two other colleagues, Ian Steba and Carlos Penner. And together we formed the cybercrime unit for the islands, Bonaire, Saba, and stations. These are the topics that we will handle today. Cybercrime unit, what is cybercrime, the differences, awareness, investigation process, what can we do, the committed cybercrime offenses that we have experienced on these islands. I am a victim, what now? And also prevention tips that we will give. We have started since 2021 as part-time next to our full function that we have at a time at the police station, at the police. We mainly have our focus, which is a victim approach. The reason for this we'll explain later on. That means for us that we have to raise awareness, action plans for small and medium business enterprises, and also for the critical infrastructure or vital infrastructure. Incident response plans. We had also ID fraud, tip of the month. That's the way that we raise awareness. But we also work on the repression side, so if the cyber criminals here on the island, or we know where he is, we also investigate and prosecute. We also specialize in Latino underground. Because we are so close to the Latin American, it's also important to know what type of crime they are into. What is cybercrime? We split into one side what we call real cybercrime. To explain it more simply, it's a computer attacking another computer system. An example that I can give is like hacking, DDoS attacks, and ransomware attacks. On the other side, what we call digitalized crime is when the computer is the tools to commit crimes that already always existed, like WhatsApp fraud, internet scams, or online threats. So on the other hand, is the computer is the goal. On their side, it is a tool. We have mainly three steps. The cybercriminal uses structure to get to the victims. But most of the times, the cybercriminal and the infrastructure are abroad, so in other countries. The server can be in one country, the cyber can be in a whole other different other country. So that's also one of the reasons why we have a victim approach. But I will get back to that later. Okay, since we started, we have realized that the general public on Bonaire is very unaware of cybercrime, or they don't believe that it exists. So we had to start from scratch. Explain to everyone what is exactly cybercrime. But first, as we get to the general public, we have to start in our own house at the police force, explaining them so that they know also how to recognize cybercrime, so they know what to do when they are confronted with a case or an incident. So we started at police force. Next, the general population, small and medium business enterprises, and also the critical infrastructure. How we're doing this is every month, you know, seen it on our Facebook page, is giving out every month tips, prevention tips, or explaining certain cyber phenomena like phishing, etc., how to recognize it. Through media posts, we also give presentation courses. We also had ID campaign frauds, information. For small, medium enterprises, we also have tailor-made reports. That is when they have become victim of a cybercrime, that they have filed the report. We are given a report, mainly is about advice that we give, based on information that we have get from the report. You can see how the system was, how they break into the system, how to become the victim in the first place, and to prevent them from being a victim again. Notifying data breaches, media post, and also very important, incident response plan. For the critical infrastructure, Also notifying data breaches, digital crisis plan. Also very important to have exercises to run sharp on what they need to do if they become a victim. The other two are still in progress. Come back to these two parts, the cybercriminal and the infrastructure. Because of that, most of the time in other countries, you need to have a network. You need to have international partners to help you to get a little further in your investigation. For this reason, we work with the NCFTA, which are the FBI, the SSS, CIA. It's an organization that works only on cybercrime and also gives trainings in the US. So I have the Interpol, Dutch police, Europol, and also Ameripol. What can we do? When cyber case, you have most of the time two options. One of them, disrupting the criminal process. I have some example here, shutting down attack servers, closing email accounts, or seizing bank accounts. And the other option, of course, doing the criminal investigation to sanction or prosecute the offender, the suspect. I will now show some examples of real cases that we have had on the islands. And I'm not allowed to go too much in details of these cases because some of them are still ongoing. Ransomware, phishing, especially business email compromise, advanced digital fraud, like friend in need fraud. In Dutch they say vriend in nood fraude, invoice frauds, money mules. On ransomware and money mules, I will go more in depth. And also hacking. Ransomware. To explain it simply, the cybercriminal will lock down your whole system. No one in the business or the organization can do absolutely anything on that system. So no one can work. That can take weeks, that can take months. And the amount of money you have to pay to get the system back can go to millions, especially if it's a big company. I will show now a video about ransomware.
A legitimate-looking email comes into a teacher from a parent asking the teacher to click an infected link, maybe to show them one of their students' work. The teacher clicks the link, but nothing happens. Maybe even a sample image loads, but nothing makes sense. It's just a random internet image. The teacher moves on with his or her day. In the background, the attacker now has access. Security tools are always pumping out lots of possible alerts, too many for anyone to look at. Many of these alerts are low probability possible indicators of an attack, but usually are just user behavior. It takes time for the security team to chase each one of these to confirm if they are really attacker behavior, but the team gets in thousands of these a day. The attacker, like a submarine, quietly moves from machine to machine, both finding machines with valuable information and preparing for future attack. The attacker also wants to make sure if defenders find him in some locations, he still has access to the network. While doing this, the attacker is also figuring out which users need to be used. There are a variety of tricks. Maybe the attacker realizes he needs to use the curriculum director's account to get access to the student rosters. He works and makes sure everything is ready for him. After the attacker gains access to the systems and gains the necessary administrator, domain administrator, or system-level privileges, there are several activities they will automatically perform. You may see each step done in multiple ways to evade and defeat any defensive measures taken by tools or administrators, since these are the automated steps. Some of these steps include killing security programs, removing local backups and recover points, creating firewall rules, and uninstalling security tools. Now, it is time for the attack. The ransomware is enabled remotely on many systems at once. Teacher, staff, and administrator systems quietly start encrypting all servers or USB drives. Desktops are encrypted last. Eventually, ransom notes start appearing on staff desktops. They pull the plug, but the servers and most data on the systems are already encrypted.
So you see, a simple phishing mail or phishing message has led to a ransomware attack. That's why it's very important to recognize a phishing mail or a phishing messages, because they have mostly a couple of purposes. One, they will steal your personal information, and the second, a malware can be installed on your system. Now I'll explain what we call the ransomware kill chain. That's given that there much goes on, how many groups are involved in a ransomware attack. The first group will be the initial access brokers. This is the group that's responsible for spying around your system. What they will be looking for is any weak backdoors that they can discover in your system. But they are not the ones that will be hacking the system, but they will be selling that information to hackers. This group is the one that are actually responsible for breaking into your system. They'll use this by skills or tools that can buy on the internet to get into your system. But that's not all. They will also be buying the malware itself that's responsible to lock the system, and they will go to the next room to buy that. The ransomware developer. This group is the one responsible for making the malware. Once the hacker's in the system, they'll be looking around, trying to find the admin computer. Once they get to the admin computer, they basically have access to everything. They will steal all the data, they will copy it, and they will send it to the next group, but they will also install the malware on all the computers. The data is stolen, they'll send to the next group is a data manager. They're the one that will categorize all information, make a nice package, make it ready to upload it, dark web. And after this step is done, then you will get the actual attack. Then you will find out that the system has been locked and no one can enter the system anymore and do absolutely nothing. Most times you'll get a screen, a pop-up screen that says the system has been encrypted. On that screen, you also find most of the times contact information of common contact with the cyber criminals. But then you will come in contact with the next group, which are the negotiators. They are the one responsible to negotiate the amount of money that they want so that I can give you your system back, if they give you your data back. Say you're unable to pay, or you just don't want to pay, you will get the next group, which is the chasers. They're the ones responsible for putting on the pressure, threatening you to put out that information. Just for example, imagine that the hospital has got a ransomware attack. They will steal all the patients' medical information, sensitive information. They can use that information to threaten every patient. If you don't pay up, they will upload that information openly on the web for everyone to see. Imagine if you have a serious disease or something. It's quite scary. So that's the part that the chasers are responsible for. Let's say you have paid, then you will come in contact with the next group, which are the financial experts. There's also the group that will look into the data and see exactly how much money your company will win in a year. So they know exactly how much money they can ask for. There's also the group that is responsible for making that money disappear and converting it into real money, physical money. This is an example of a real case that we've had on Bonaire, one of them. So you can see the contact information that they provide so that the victim can come in contact with them. Most of the time, they also ask for bitcoins. So these are really cases that happens on Bonaire. In another case, one of the victims has lost up to $60,000. The ransomware attacks of one of the ransomware crime where the victims lost the most amount of money, the most loss. They lose all the data. They also have to invest again on get the system back up running. Because when you pay, you don't have even the guarantee that you will get the data back. That gets copied and it gets sold again on the dark web. This is really serious. No more ransom. Does anyone know this webpage or this organization project? I will walk to the back to show you the webpage. Just listen to my voice. Yeah, okay, 1 minute. This is a webpage that the Netherlands police, in partnership with Europol, has worked on, which now is also worked really hard on our colleague of us in the Netherlands to get this page in our local language. Why it is very important? It is a project where you can get all the ransomware keys to unlock the ransomware attack on your system. It is regularly updated, so it's very important for your business, especially your IT, to know this page. If you ever got an attack, ransomware attack, you can come and take a look. It's free to see if the keys are available on this page. The Caribbean Netherlands Police Force is now also a member of the No More Ransom project. Okay. Phishing. I'd like to focus more on the business email compromise. Our colleagues from Mcb has already explained a little bit on it. This is simply where the cyber criminal will use an email account for contact within a company or make an email address that looks almost exactly like the original one. They mostly do this for the two frauds that we know so far, the CEO fraud or fake invoice, which is the invoice fraud. Or they can also just hack into the email server if they know their PIN, for example. There are different ways that they can get the information. Once they're in your email conversation, they will study it completely. What language you use, language styles you use, everything has to do with financing. They will take the time, study it all. They can also see who you do business with. And they can spoof that business, send you an email as if the legitimate organization that you normally do business with, and send you an invoice fraud. They can make that invoice exactly like the original. If you don't know what to look for, you will just make the payment. I have two examples. If you see it closely, it doesn't actually say Microsoft. But it's difficult to notice. This one's from an actual case that we have had. The invoice is exactly as the original, but it says here the banking details has changed. It should be immediately a red flag. Contact the company, double check if indeed they have changed the banking details, and if they have sent you this invoice, confirm it. then never use the phone number that you find in the mail that I've sent you, because you will just have the criminal on the line. Go and look at the older emails that you have received from this company, or just use the telephone number that you've already get. You can also check the email address that you use with the older emails to check if they're the same or there are differences. This is an example from a message phishing through WhatsApp. It's in the Dutch will explain. It's mainly a message from a post office that tells you you have a package, but you have to pay an amount of money to receive that package. Click on this link. Once you click on that link, you will get a web page with different banking online services from your choosing. But they are actually all clones of the original website. All the information that you fill in, the hacker will receive it. And then he will use that information to log in the real website. This is that we've had where people had, just for example, for the losses that they have had, the victims have had, invoice fraud between $50,000 to $200,000 from cases that they actually had. Friend in need fraud, roughly around $1,000. This one's scary. Online financial scams, loan scams, between 430 to 1 million. And the one that we have the most last year, social media scams. Facebook, where people will buy items on Facebook but never receive them. Also second-hand cars, for example. They buy the car but they never receive them. This is just to show you that it happens. Cybercrime does take place on the island, it does happen here. There are victims.
This is Peter, a college student. A few weeks ago, he received a random job offer as an agent for cryptocurrency transactions. It promised a commission of $500 to $1,000 a week. Peter jumped at the opportunity because it seemed like easy money. After accepting the job, he was asked to transfer some money through his bank account. No big deal, right? Shortly afterwards, his accounts were frozen. Unwittingly, he had become part of a money muling scheme, helping criminals launder illicit proceeds from trafficking drugs, arms, or human beings. Criminals often target vulnerable or unsuspecting people to become money mules. People see these opportunities as a way out of their financial troubles, but in reality, money mules are entering a risky situation. Be careful when transferring money for another person, especially if it's someone you've never met. If you use your account, it could also become your crime.
Money mules. Why I like to focus on this because it's to do with young individuals. In other words, students. An investigation in the Netherlands turns out that 10% of the money mules have been arrested come from our area, ABC Islands, Caribbean. Most of our kids will go abroad, let's say Netherlands, for their education. When they get in the Netherlands, most of them will open a new, freshly bank account. And that's most of the time what they want, what the criminal wants. They will approach the students, promise them an amount of money, which they do not get often, so that they can give up the bank account so they can transfer the fraud money on it. But the problem with that is, it has consequences for the student, for our kids. They'll be guilty of money laundering. That money probably will have to be paid back by them. It can be jobs that they will have to do without any payment. but also the one that stole the money itself is without a trace, anywhere to be found. So all the consequences is for the money mule. Chances are you can get a criminal. Just checking. They won't be allowed to open a bank account on any other bank because they will come on the blacklist. So even if they go to another bank, they won't be able to open another bank account. How to get a job? Most companies, organizations will ask for a bank account so they can pay you to the end of the month. These days, they won't pay cash. Impossible to get a loan. In the future, you want a loan to buy you need a mortgage to buy a house. No can do. So there are serious consequences for our kids if they fall in the trap of money mules. For this reason also, since last year, we started giving presentations about money mules to the kids or they're in an exam class to make them aware of this phenomenon. Try to prevent them to become a victim of a money mule. Out of cases, we also see that most of the money mules are unaware that they are money mules. Small percentage do know that they're money mules, but most of them don't know. Hacking. A lot of text. I'm explaining it simply. It's a cyber criminal that breaks in to your computer system without your authorization, with the purpose of stealing information, spying, for financial gains, protests, or just for the fun of it. We also have cases where someone's, let's say, a certain data was stolen from his computer and used in other criminal acts, so they think that the victim was the one committing those acts. I'm a victim. What now? Especially if you have to do with financial losses, notify your bank and the police as soon as possible. Time plays an important role here. If you take up to 3 days to then come and file a report to go to the bank, that money is so long gone. Most of the time, it's almost impossible to get your money back. There's maybe a small chance. So you make that small chance even smaller. Why is it important to notify the police and file a report? One of the reasons, of course, is to do an investigation, to start an investigation. If we can get to the perpetrator, prosecute him, and from the information that we get from the report, can also give you the necessary advice so to prevent you from becoming a victim again. But it's also important for us to have an overview what type of cybercrime activities goes on these islands. And based on that, we know exactly what type of prevention information we should be giving to the public to help them to be more aware, also to try to prevent them from being victims. So better to prevent, because once the money is gone, it's gone. Very difficult to get your money back, so it's better to prevent. Prevention tips. Incident response plan. It's very important for companies to have an incident response plan. This you can do together with your IT to set up an incident response plan so that everyone knows exactly what they need to do before, during, and after an attack. Have an up-to-date operating system and software. Out of some of the ransomware cases that we've had, we have seen that one of the reasons they've been attacked was because of a very old Windows operating system. I'm talking about Windows 7, Windows Vista. Those operating systems don't get any updates anymore. When you get updates, there are most of the times also security patches that you get. Security patches necessary to close those weak backdoors that maybe they have discovered. So those old operating systems That backdoor was still broken, but that remains so. So when you get updates, perform them quickly. Use an up-to-date antivirus system. Scan your systems regularly, and before you scan it, update that antivirus system. Use a strong password. Password as high keys, low keys, numbers, symbols. Make it as difficult as possible. Minimum 15 characters, if possible. Change your password regularly, but never use a password that you already used in the past. Criminals can actually recognize the pattern that you use to change the password. Use different password for different accounts. I know it's a headache to try to remember all these passwords, but you can use what we call a password manager to help you with those passwords. And most password managers these days also can help you make difficult passwords. Two-factor authentication. Very important. Two-factor authentication is like a second password to use that you will only receive on your smartphone device that the hacker can't get to. Nothing's 100% these days, but it's very difficult for them to get to that code. So even if they have discovered your password, they will need the code that you receive on your phone to get into your account. So set up that two-factor authentication for your email accounts and all your social media accounts. Because if you don't have it, it's like an invitation card. Never click on a link in a phishing mail. Like I said before, you will give away important information from yourself, personal information, or you will be downloading a malware on your system. So it's best to also educate your coworkers on how to recognize phishing mails. Very important. VPN. When we see VPN, most of us think of Netflix, movies. It has a more important reason or purpose, which is to hide your IP address. It hides your IP address and it places it with a fake IP address from a different country so that yours stays hidden from hackers. That's its main purpose. Of course, we also use it for movies, but backups. One thing that can save a lot with ransomware attacks is backups. Do it regularly. Because if it's up to date, we can tell that criminal, you know what? Give it the middle finger and use your backup to set up your system back again. You will lose a little bit of data, but not much. Because if you don't have that backup, you got to start from scratch. It'll cost money. This was our presentation. If you have any more questions, you can email us or contact us on the phone number. We also have business cards if you prefer to have that. Thank you.
Many thanks to Mr. Clementina for a very good presentation. Before we wrap it up, as requested by Leonard, I'm going to give some little bit tips on usage of debit credit cards for cardholders, but also merchants. Especially in this group, we are all cardholders and we are all merchants. The benefit of cards. Cards is more safe than cash. And also, it makes sales more accessible everywhere. In my case, I think I have $1 bill in my wallet right now because I use the parking lot where I had to pay cash. But normally, I do not have cash with me. I pay everything with cards because it's safer for me. But it's also safer for the person that is receiving the cards instead of cash. Cash costs money. You have to secure the cash. You have to also transport the cash and everything else between it. So it costs money to have cash in your business. When we have a normal transaction between a cardholder and a merchant, there's no problem. We have our POSs, which accept cards. You click it, you do it contactless, or you do it with a PIN, nothing happens. If you do an online transaction on an e-commerce site, I use it a lot because I do a lot of e-commerce transaction. It's safer for me as a cardholder because if the service is not granted to me, I can always go back and do a chargeback and claim it back. But if I do a transaction through a transfer and the service is not granted to me, I'm bound between me and the merchant in order to get my money back. And maybe it's a merchant in Australia. How do I get my money back? But if I do it with a card, there are rules and regulations that are by Visa, MasterCard, Discover, Amex, whichever payment brands, that grant me the possibility to claim it through my bank, and I will get my money back if it is a legitimate claim that I'm doing. So it's easier. Okay, thank you. Okay, I have problems always moving with my hands, so I will say like this. So it is safer to have always use your card. But what my colleagues were referring to are the unusual things which sometimes seems too good to be true, or they have a lot of red flags. So, like they mentioned, when you have the fallback fraud. What is fallback fraud? All our cards have chip on it. So when I do a transaction, I will use it with the chip, I will dip it in, or I'll do a contactless, get an approval. But sometimes the chip is broken or there's a problem, it cannot read it, so it will be swiped. That's not a problem if it is an individual sales. But what we have seen, and this is real, we have seen it last year in Curacao for sure, that there were businesses that were approached by criminals asking them, they came with some stack of cards, blank cards, asking them when the business was already closed, so there was not a legitimate transaction, to try to pass maybe 20, 30 cards, and the ones that they will get an approval, then the merchant will get a commission from it. That's not a normal sales. And why? Because in principle, a bank will decline a transaction if it's outside of the country, if it is a fallback. So if it doesn't read your chip, you cannot do the transaction. But some banks still do not decline that. So they are looking for the possibility of getting from those stack of 20 cards to get one card or two or three that have the possibility that it is approved. So those are red flags. So if you are a merchant, someone come to you after closing hours and asking you to do a transaction of use your POS with a stack of cards, that's not a normal. So you will get that kind of fraud. Another one is fraud that happened with key enter transaction. I mean, we know that there are key enter transactions being done. You have someone that's coming to you for your business. Maybe you have a car rental, or you have a hotel, or a small Airbnb business, and they come with the card. So they do the transaction by phone, and they tell you, this is my card number, this is my expiration date, and maybe sometimes the CVV. They give you the passport. It's Douglas Bencomo. So you say, okay, I have the passport of Douglas Bencomo, I have the credit card, I do the key enter transaction, It's got an approval, so it's okay. But how do you know that that card is from Douglas Bencomo and not from me? So me as a cardholder, when I receive that charge, I have an email alert, I receive it. Wow, there's a transaction here. I claim it at my bank. And my bank will then claim it with MCB. This case, it is not a legitimate, it is a fraudulent transaction. And with the key enter transaction, because there was no other verification, there is no way MCB can, for that transaction, win that case for you. So it's a direct debit for MCB and a direct debit for the merchant. So the possibilities, e-commerce. If you have an e-commerce, you are an e-commerce merchant, then you have other authentication where you know that the customer that used the card at your business is the legitimate customer. And if you want to do a key enter transaction, make sure that you know your customer, so you know who you're dealing with. But if Bencomo is asking to rent maybe a car and he is living in the US, do you know him? It's a first-time customer. So it's a risk that you will run. Another type of fraud that we are also seeing is the transfer funds back. So maybe you are an organizer of an event. They tell you, you know, this is the card, use 30,000 because we have a big wedding that is planned and the whole family is coming. We want it extra, do everything. Pricing is not a problem. You use a card, you get an approval, 30,000, 35,000, everything is okay. Then you receive an email after 1 week. You know, my father passed away or my sister-in-law is sick. There is always a reason. We have seen a lot of them. But then they tell you we cannot come anymore to this event. The wedding is canceled, or maybe there was a cheating event, whatever happened, it's not going anymore. So we need to have the funds back. But this card was blocked by my bank. Can you please transfer the funds to this? And they give you a bank account and a wire transfer. And then you can keep, you know, for all the problem, keep 10% or 20%. So you're still good because, I mean, there's no event. I won 10% or 20% out of it. And then maybe after 1 month, the bank approach you, there is a chargeback for the full amount. So those are really the frauds that you can happen with credit cards. So if there is a normal sale transaction in between you and your customers, and it is secured because there is a chip on the card if the card is present. If the card is not present, you have e-commerce, then there is no problem. But it is when you have those red flags and when you have those exemption cases where you can have a problem. So that is really what I wanted to say, because I don't want anyone to be scared about using cards or accepting cards, because cards are my passion. I've been in this business of cards for 25 years, so I love cards. I use my cards a lot. And people, please accept cards, because if I go into your business, you tell me you do not accept cards, I will tell you thank you very much, and I will go to your neighbor who accept cards. With this, I want to wrap it up. And we had a very good morning and session today. I want to thank you all for taking some time from your business to come to visit us and have the seminar with us, because it is important. Like Douglas and everyone else mentioned, we do not have to be the weakest link. So don't create opportunity in your business or for yourself if you can avoid it. So with this seminar, we of MCB wanted to give you some more awareness on how to prevent to become a victim yourself and for your business. We want to thank our colleague, Bencomo Douglas Bencomo, Rico Dendulder, Henrik Kroon, Carlos Marta, also Gary Clementina from KPSN of helping us, and the one that make it possible for this event, Lily N. A round of applause for them all. As a bank, we are a partner with you, but also in cybersecurity awareness. So like we already said, if you have any further questions, you want more information, contact us at the email where we send the invitation to you, and we can set up meeting together with you and maybe other colleagues who didn't come in this meeting today with our experts in this field. And for sure, KPSN, you will hear more from us because, I mean, this is a partnership that we will have to continue because cybersecurity safety is very important for us and for the community. Thank you.